Kenny's windowsill is over 50 years old, and he's recently noticed that it feels like a sponge.
I noticed it was rotting from end to end all across.
That rubber flashing was only a temporary solution, and Kenny's not sure where to turn from here.
This repair is probably beyond my skill level.
We'll show Kenny how to get that old, rotten windowsill removed, and we'll teach him how to fabricate a new one that will resist rot.
All right, let's get started by removing all of this soft flashing. See the condition of the sill underneath. Oh, that's really on there, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh yeah, you got a big hole. Take it off the casing. Oh, see? Now the casing looks pretty good. I always worry about that because water can wick up in the end grain and this side casing can rot. So this side looks pretty good. Okay, well this sill is definitely rotted. Let's cut it out. Now I'm just cutting the nails that hold the stool to the sill, freeing up the sill. This is an oscillating saw where the blade goes back and forth. Now I just cut the siding under the sill to free up the sill. All right, Kenny, take the reciprocating saw. I want you to cut out the center section of the sill. Stay about 2 inches away from the side jam. Push right down with the tip of the blade. Push it right down. When the tip of the blade is lower than the stool, I want you to push the saw up at the same time and push down. Back, rock it up and down. Push the blade in. All right, that's good right there. Now pull the saw out. I want to tip it upside down. Take the tip of the blade and put it in the slot and push down, and it'll land on the structure underneath the sill. Now, don't push the blade in too far, but what I want you to do is take the saw, push it up, and let the saw slide in a little bit. Once you feel it biting on the wood, then you're going to push down gently, bringing the tip up, cutting the remaining part of the saw. Okay. All right, now I'll cut this side. All right, it's loose. Now I got to see if I can pull it out. I want to pull it this way. All right, that's not coming out. I'm going to go after this side using my flat bar. So what I'll do is I'll put a screw right into the face of the sill. Bring it down so it almost bottoms out. All right, now I'm going to use my flat bar, hook onto the screw, see if I can pry the sill up. Same thing on the other end. Okay, now it should come out. And there it is.
Wow.
All right, we'll save that piece. Now we have to break these pieces off down the ends. And for this side, I'll use the chisel. You want to get the left side, Ken?
Sure.
I have to get these nails out of here using my end nippers so we can slide the new sill into position. Okay, here's what's left of your old sill, the main part that we cut out of the middle. And here's one of the ends, it's also called an ear or a horn. Okay, now if you look at the sill cross-section, the sill goes in on an angle, so it will shed water. The front edge should be straight up and down or a plumb cut.
Right.
Now, when the rain comes down, the rain will drip down the front edge, and the surface tension will actually suck the water up the sill, and the water can get in behind your wall.
That's not good.
Not good. So to stop that, they actually put a little dado cut right here, and that breaks the surface tension, causing the water to drip. We're going to recreate this old sill using a new piece of wood.
What are we going to use?
We're going to use a piece of Spanish cedar. It really holds up well to the weather. First thing I want to do now is take a measurement.
Great.
Okay, now we need the depth. Now I need the width between the two jambs. 31 and a half. And now I need the overall length. And that's 38 and 9/16. Okay? I'm ready to transfer the measurements that we took onto our new piece of wood. Now I like to run a center line on here and then transfer my measurements from my center line so each notch will be equal on each end. I've used a piece of the old horn off the old sill to mark for our new horn. It gave me the angle and the depth. I'm now going to use it to set my saw for the angle that I need to cut. Now, when I cut the sill from the underside for the horn, I didn't overcut it. I didn't want to weaken the horn. So now we have to finish up that cut on the face side using the handsaw. You want to cut that, Ken?
Sure.
Good. Down there. What we need to do now is put a dado cut right down the leading edge to break that surface tension of the water. Spanish cedar is a soft wood, so the grit of the sandpaper shouldn't be too coarse. We're going to use a 120 or a 150. Anything coarser could damage the wood, won't get a flat surface. Before we install the sill, we're going to spray all sides using a water-based primer. Before we put the sill in, I want to caulk around the underside of the casings and inside the jambs of the window, then we'll slide the sill into the wet caulking.
Great.
I'm caulking along the jamb here to stop any water from getting down between the jamb and the sill, and under the casing to prevent the water seeping into the end grain. All right, and let's just slide it in there. Get it started a little bit. I don't want to push it in yet because now I want to inject some foam in there before I push it up. Now the foam is actually going to do two things. It's going to insulate under the sill, and when the foam expands, it's going to start pushing the sill up and holding it in place. Okay, Kenny, now we need to nail the stool back to the sill. So put a nail here, one here in the center, and one here. And toenail the gun out slightly so the nail will come right into the sill.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. Now all I want to do is run a thin bead of caulking right between the sill and the stool.
Okay.
All right, Ken, you got a brand new watertight sill. Good for the next 50 years.
Tommy, it is beautiful. Great job. Thank you very, very much.
It's my pleasure.
All right, guys, it's yellow. No, wait, it's blue. It's both. And it wiggles and jiggles like Jell-O. What is it?
Well, guys, you might laugh at this, but I saw this the other night on a website.
Yeah.
I was cruising the web, and I went and I saw a website called Hydroseed Club for Men. Now, this is actually filled with hair follicles. You can order it any way you want it. You can get it blonde, brunette. Brunette makes me feel a little bit smarter. And then you can get it with straight or curly. And so with this, you just lay it up on top there. It actually seeds over time. You need about 6 weeks, and I think it'll grow up beautiful.
Yeah, really like make you look smart.
You don't need this yet. But you
Already an improvement, Richard.
You are so far out. You know what? Listen, I give these to my clients. You know, they have a problem with a leak in the roof or something like that, and what do I do if I'm on vacation? I don't want to come back and fix the leak.
That's right.
Well, why didn't you build it right in the first place?
That's
Hey,
right.
wait a minute. They don't have to get up in the ladder and fix a leak to get in the attic. Oh, it's leaking right there. So they throw it up, get in the hole, it swells up, no more leak.
Temporary fix by Silver Brothers.
Hey, guess what? You're going to have a lot less clients if you start passing those things out.
Guys, I have to admit, I have a problem. No, not necessary. I'm like everyone else when it comes to a home improvement project. I need a nut, a bolt, or a screw. I go down to the hardware store, I always come back with the wrong one.
You got the nut part.
No more. Okay? Flatten that out, and whatever you need to get, like this bolt and nut, washer,
bolt, yeah.
push it down
It's
in.
like a mold.
There it goes, perfect mold. Take it out. You bring it to the store, and you go, sir, I need one of these.
I don't want to shoot holes in your theory, but why don't you just take that with you?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that'd work.
Yeah, I think it worked a little better right here.
All right, guys, listen, it's actually got a practical application, not just silly stuff. These are cleaners, all right? Now, let's say you've been noshing on a donut over your keyboard instead of typing like you should have been. Well, this is to actually clean up all the crumbs. You just press it in there, and it goes into all the little nooks and crannies. They got a yellow one for electronics, and they got a blue one for your car, for say like the air conditioning vents. This won't.
That one would work for
Yeah,
me.
well, you probably need both. Roger, I know how much you like your gardening, so you've got some ideas for keeping us all in the garden if we've got some limited mobility or just aches and pains, right?
Face it, Kevin, we're all getting older. It gets a little harder to get out and do that gardening work, doesn't it?
I'm not getting any older, man.
Well, here's a great thing for you. This is a rolling garden cart. You can actually sit on it, spin around, pivot. You can take it right into the garden, and look, it even has a storage area underneath.
Nice. Looks pretty beefy, too.
Yeah. Now, a little simpler one over here. This is a rocking one where you'd sit on it, rock and lean forward. The thing I like about this one is storage on the sides while you're working. For me, it's kneeling. Getting up and down is really hard. This kneeler is great. You can actually put your arms on here, brace yourself, lower yourself down, and get right into the garden.
And you've got a little pad there on the bottom. All right.
And when you're done, arms help you lift up.
Gets you right into the garden, but only so far, right? This garden's pretty deep.
And that's why we have these tools. This is an extended claw. See how long it is? Without bending or reaching, you can get way into the garden. Now, this tool has a fixed length. Other tools, you can buy a telescoping, which means you can adapt them to whatever length you would like and go to work in the garden.
So you're thinking about reach and our creaky knees. What about all the handwork that we've got to do in the garden?
Now, the wrist is a tough area. You have arthritis, tendonitis, and just general lack of strength. And that shows up a lot when you're gardening with a hand trowel. You're trying to drive that into the ground and lift, and all you're using is your wrist.
So the solution?
Tools that keep your wrist in line with your arm so that when you're doing this, you're using your arm for strength.
So this big sweep in the handle is an ergonomical design, and it's actually nice and beefy to grab onto. I like these.
Some tools come with an adapter. This sleeve right here goes over your arm. Now look at that. When you're working this tool, you're using your whole arm, and it's nice and straight.
So knees, wrists, what about the back? 'Cause it's already starting to hurt.
That's the biggest problem. But what they do is they make adapters for your existing tools to help you with the back. So instead of being down like this, you put this adapter on, and now you're upright, so you're not bending that back over while you're working.
Put it on a shovel, put it on a broom or an existing rake, no
A rake,
problem.
anything, works well.
Bulbs, is that what these are for?
Exactly. Think about planting a bulb with this bulb planter. You got to get down, push that down into the ground. If there's rocks there, it's going to be really hard. This one here, very simple. With a straight back and a strong leg muscle, we just drive this into the ground, lift it up, drop the plug.
So a nice collection of tools that'll keep anybody working in the garden.
The easier we make gardening, the more fun it is.
All right, I like it, Roger. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like the buggy. Can we put a motor on that thing?
So we got a great yard here. The kids love to play. It's a beautiful garden. We have no access to water back here. There's no hose spigot. To get water, we got to go all the way back here. Let me show you what we got to do. Got to go all the way through this shed here. Come on, let me show you. Watch your step. Come on. Over all this stuff, the stroller, the lawnmower. Come on, all the way back in this yard. Show me what we have to do, Tony, to get the water turned on. All the way back here. Behind this, behind these air conditioning units. All the way back here. Okay, turn the water on, Tony. Okay, now we got to go back this way. Make sure the water's not spraying stuff. We got to run. Hurry, hurry. All the way to here. Hurry up, Tony. Come on. We got to find that hose. Quick. I got it. Richard, surely you can help us.
All right, David, what we're going to do is get you an outside garden faucet somewhere on the side of this building right here.
Richard, that'll be great. That way we could water everything in the yard. We could hook up the sprinkler. I wouldn't have to run around. I was thinking we could even maybe put something here where the kids could wash their feet off, not track mud into the house.
Well, this is a frost-proof silk caulk. Now, this is what it looks like from the outside. You turn the water on, and you turn it off. But normally when you have an outside faucet like this, you have to worry about it freezing in the winter. Now, with this, it's called frost-proof because this is the wall, and there's a washer way back there, so it won't freeze in the winter, so it means you don't have to drain it down in cold climates. Now, for us, we have to start by looking at a place to drill a hole into the building, and we're looking for a reference point. So we're going to start by looking in the basement to where the brick meets this old block and see if that's a good spot to drill. All right, down here in the basement on the other side of that wall. Now, I never want to drill blind. I always want to know where I'm going to drill into, so I'm going to look for some reference point. If I drill blind, I could come into the end of a joist, maybe a pipe or a conduit. Now, in this case, we saw the brick and the block outside. When I look right here, it's perfect. I could drill right here and there's nothing in the way. If I didn't have that, I'd have to look for some other reference point, a pipe or a conduit or a wire. We're good to go. Let's go drill that. All right, so here is our brick and our block. Right at that point, we saw inside. Now, this trim piece is about 7 inches, and I'd like that faucet to be right in the center. So if I mark it at 3.5 up, there's our spot to drill. Now, with a pilot bit, I want to go in level. All right, now it's time to drill the correct size hole. For that, we're using an 1 3/8 self-feeding wood bit right here. And I also need an extension because we have to go through a fair amount of wood here. So that locks in, and now I'm ready to go. All right, so there's a perfect hole right where we want it to be. Right.
Well, that's great. But where are we getting the water from?
Well, I'm going to actually tie into that original faucet on the other side of the building right here. So I'm going to come from this point, run underneath the bottom of these joists right here, attach it right to the side of this beam, and once we get to this point, I'm going to dive under the beam. I'm going to tie right into here. Now, we've got to be sure the water's off, and that's the perfect place to cut. And I like to clean the pipe before I cut it because once I cut it, there could be a little bit of water that gets all over the emery cloth. And it does a better job of cleaning it. I'm going to cut it with a tubing cutter. I can use a full-size one here because I have enough space to spin it around. Just grab me that bucket, would you, David? Okay. There might be a tiny bit of water here. No? Oh, there we go. All right, I'm running this horizontal line, and I'm tying them into these bell hangers. These are copper hangers. And there was a clip, and we just snug them up. Now, as I run the water line back towards the water supply, I'm right up against this beam. I could just drill through the beam itself, but I wouldn't want to do that. You don't want to drill through the bottom third of any beam. You don't want to lose structure. So I'm going to pop down underneath that beam and then pop back up. And anytime you do that, that creates a trap. Should I ever want to turn the water off or winterize the house, I put in a little drain valve right there so that water can drain out. Now we're ready to flux it and solder it. We're ready to go. It's important to clean and to flux both the pipe and the fitting to ensure we have a good soldered connection. When I solder, apply heat to one side of the fitting, wait for the flux to bubble, and then apply the solder to the opposing side. And the key is not to overheat the fitting. I always like to wipe the joints when I'm finished. All right, now it's time to install our frost-proof silcock. I'm just going to remove the handle and make it a little bit easier to install a couple of screws. And I want to have a tight seal on this hole, so I'm going to use a little bit of plumber's putty to just fill that back side of the hole. Now when I do that, it'll all squish out. And David, just reach in here and hold that in place. Yep. And I'm going to attach it into the building with a couple of exterior grade screws. Now we make our final solder connections. This is the elbow that connects to the silcock outside. All right, Dave, we got some water out back here for all the plants.
That's great, Richard. We got the splitter here.
Oh, yeah.
Goes up to this wand.
I see you used a couple of my bell hangers right there to secure it to the building.
The boys got a shower.
Now, look what we found at a garden center right here. There's some stones actually glued onto a mat so the kids don't have to stand in mulch. We ready to go?
That's terrific. Hey, let's give it a try.
Ready? Who's in first?
Come on. Who's going to get wet first? Ready?
Hey, that feels pretty good. Boy, that felt great on a hot day.
I bet.
All right, so here is a standard outside garden faucet, also called a silcock. It has a washer that sits right here. So in mild weather or warm weather, there's no problem. But in a cold climate, you have to worry because there's actually water that sits outside the building when this faucet is off, and that can freeze and split. So anytime you have a faucet like this, you want to be sure to have a shut-off valve in here that you can shut off before the cold weather comes. Then you want to open up the faucet outside and then open up this little drain cock on the side to let the air in and the water drain out. And now, you also can't use this faucet in the winter. If you
We
did,
gotta
you
go
have to
back
turn it
into
on.
the house
Yes,
and-
that's
right,
right. So frost-proof silcock's got some great attributes. It comes in a variety of lengths, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16 inches, depending how thick the wall is. But you can see the washer way back here. I'm going to pull it right out. You can see that there's a shaft that puts that washer way back there.
So the seal is being made well inside the house
That's
where it's
right.
a lot warmer.
That's right. Now, once I shut it off, I want to be sure that the water comes out of this chamber. So you see right here, this is a vacuum breaker. So when we shut it off, it allows air in to let the water drain out of the chamber. It also works as an anti-siphon valve for us. If you had a hose that was connected to a bucket that might have fertilizer or caustic
Stagnant
chemicals,
water,
that's
yeah.
right. You want to have a backflow preventer to be sure water didn't ever be pulled back into the potable water supply.
Right.
So now, are those anti-siphon devices code?
In many places they are, and they should be.
A great solution, and for this homeowner, he no longer has to run all around the house.
That's right.
Nice job, Richard. Well, if you've got questions for us, send us a letter or an email because we'd love to hear from you. So until next time, I'm Kevin O'Connor.
I'm Tom Silva.
I'm Roger Cook.
And I'm Richard Thuin for Ask This Old House.
Hey, I love the mat with the
So how many times did you hit your head in the basement?
Oh, yes. Just falling out.
Next time on Ask This Old House, we are out on the road solving your home improvement projects.
I'm going to build a raised bed designed specifically for a homeowner with limited mobility. Paul, what do you think?
I think it's terrific, Roger. I really do. I can't wait to get that first tomato in my cheeseburger. It'll be great.
And I'm going to help a homeowner fix a leak in his roof, and the solution is really simple.
That's next time. Ask This Old House. If you have a question about your house or a tip you'd like to share, please let us know. Visit our website, pbs.org, for expert advice, step-by-step videos, and much more. This Old House magazine, the companion to the television series, provides advice from our experts that you've come to know. You can use your credit card to order 10 monthly issues for $10 by calling 1-800-221-5900.